Montgomery County 911, where's your emergency?
I just stabbed myself and I killed my 2 children.
You stabbed yourself and killed your 2 children?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what's your name?
Brandy Worley.
Brandy what?
Worley.
And where are the children at?
In my daughter's room on the floor.
In your daughter's room on the floor? Okay. And what caused you to do this today?
My husband wanted a divorce and wanted to take my kid. I won't let him have my kid.
Okay, and how old are your children?
7 and 3.
Okay. And where did you stab yourself at?
In the neck.
Okay, are you bleeding?
Yeah, there's blood everywhere.
Okay, and where are you at?
In my living room.
You're in your living room?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and are you armed now with the knife still?
No, it's in my children's room.
Okay, where's your husband at?
Downstairs somewhere.
Okay, what's his condition?
I don't know. I haven't talked to him.
And what are you feeling right now? I mean, you're tired? Are you where?
Yeah, I took a lot of Benadryl.
You took a lot of Benadryl?
Yeah.
Okay.
In honor of Friday the 13th, here's one of the creepiest things that has happened on Friday the 13th. On October 13th of 1972, Flight 571 crashed into the Andes Mountains. There were 40 passengers on this flight and 5 crew members. The passengers consisted of a rugby team as well as their friends and family, and they were all on the way to a match in Chile. Here's where it gets really dark and depressing. 12 out of 45 people died because of the crash. The rest had to survive 72 days in the Andes Mountains. And sadly, in order to survive, they had to eat the flesh of the deceased. So they ate their friends and family to survive in the mountains. This is the photo of when they got rescued, and in the end, only 16 people survived all of this. How traumatizing is that? And on the same Friday the 13th in Russia, there was another plane crash.
The couple seemed like a normal, typical family on the outside.
No, they didn't.
Agreed. These two look like psychopaths, and spoiler alert, one of them actually was. After 18 years of an unhappy marriage, Marilyn Depew filed for divorce from her husband Dennis. He was only allowed to see his 3 children twice a week, and when he went to go pick them up on Easter Day, they refused, causing him and Marilyn to get into an intense argument. He blamed her for ruining his life and proceeded to push Marilyn down the stairs, causing her to receive several injuries. Dennis then loaded her into his car and told his kids that he was taking their mom to the hospital. However, the next day, 2 siblings were driving down the road when they came across a man holding a white sheet soaked in blood. They called the police, who discovered Marilyn's body in a nearby forest with gunshot wounds to the back of her head. After, they tracked Dennis down for over a year until he took his own life in a standoff with police.
Hey guys, this is not a Chinese ghost story, but a real incident that is so creepy, which took place in July 2010 in Taiwan. Here's an actual footage of the elevator. One day a grandpa wanted to go to the 7th floor. He accidentally pressed a button for 6th floor. When the door opened, a female dead body fell directly on him. The body is deteriorating and looks dark. The grandpa had to process this for 20 minutes and drag the body together with him to the 1st floor. You might think that might be one of the most creepy things that can ever happen to a person. What's more creepy is about how the person actually died on the 6th floor. Similar to the grandpa, a neighbor entered the wrong floor. This floor is privately owned. The owner of 6th floor not only blocked all the gates and windows, he also built a fence between the wall and the rest of the property. This lady was stuck in there for a whole week without any food or water. The body is around the corner, but she cannot reach, and the emergency button is not working anymore. The original owner did this to prevent thieves from entering this room. When this woman accidentally entered this floor, When she tried to get back, it's already too late. She cannot even sit down during the 7 days. She yelled, but nobody heard her. There is a ghost story based on this true incident. People say it was a lady who pressed a button for Grandpa to find her. She died in pain, hunger, desperation.
Sarah. For everything you've done to me. Sarah. For everything you've done to me. Sarah. Fuck you. Sarah. Fuck you. Sarah. Stupid. Sarah. That's my name. Don't wear it up.
Jeffrey Dahmer in my mom's 1978 high school yearbook. Yes, he's even blurred out in a club picture.
Here's a face that's been all over the news lately. Usually you'd see a photo like this with the title murder trial and assume that they're the victim. But not in this case. 32-year-old Lucy Letby has been charged with taking the lives of 7 babies and attempting to take 10 more. She was working as a neonatal nurse at the Countess of Chester Hospital from June 2015 to June 2016. And this was the time span in which these infants passed away. She was finally removed from the neonatal unit after a senior doctor realised that she was the only common denominator for all of these children. Lucy Letby has pleaded not guilty on all accounts. So her defence team have said that it's just a coincidence that she was present at the passing of every child. They've also said that the passings were natural and not caused by any human interference. The prosecution, however, have presented evidence stating that the victims' lives were deliberately taken, mainly by injecting air into their circulation. Police also supposedly recovered some major evidence from her home after her arrest in 2018. The evidence was a handwritten note, with one section of it reading the following: "I unalived them on purpose because I'm not good enough to care for them." Well, I guess, take from that what you will.
35-year-old Ershon Findikoglu is the mastermind behind one of the most intricate bank robberies in history. A crime so brazen, he posed with a pile of cash on his chest. Secret Service agent Scott Serafian says millions were taken from ATMs in New York City alone.
Block after block, ATM after ATM. They hit them all.
They had it mapped out, and they knew that Broadway had a large number of ATMs in close proximity to each other.
From Turkey, Findikoglu hacked into the computers of international banks, stole account information, and then sent ATM numbers to criminal gangs around the world he'd recruited online. He also removed all withdrawal limits from the accounts. Gang members, seen here on surveillance cameras, then went to work, hitting machines from Tokyo to London to New York, where Ken Primo is a Secret Service agent.
They came and emptied these.
Yes, multiple transactions. Put your card in, put your pins in, take out the limit, put your card in, put your pin in, take out your limit.
Back in Turkey, Findikoglu was watching it all.
He was watching so that he could tell who was withdrawing how much, so that he'd know how much money he was supposed to get back.
The first hit happened in February of 2011. 15,000 transactions in 18 countries. $10 million were stolen. The second hit was December 2012. 5,000 transactions in 20 countries. $5 million were withdrawn. Then the big score, February 19th, 2013. In a little over 10 hours, crews made some 36,000 transactions in 24 countries for a take of $40 million in cash. The thieves sent most of the money back to Findikoglu, but started showing off their take, cash and expensive watches. Their end came at a mob movie staple, a New York diner, where police arrested one gang member carrying almost $1 million. But Dave Beach, who runs the Secret Service office in New York, says most of the money has not been recovered.
Gone. Just gone. It was cash. It's untraceable.
Today we're going to cover the highly requested murder case, the Hello Kitty case. So this case took place in Hong Kong in 1999. A little background on the victim. Fan Men-yi was abandoned as a child, resulting in her being raised in an orphanage. When she turned 15, she was told by her orphanage that she had to leave due to their age restriction. With nowhere and no one to turn to, Fan became homeless and addicted to drugs. She was forced into prostitution until the age of 21 when she began working at a brothel. Fan eventually married one of her clients, a fellow drug addict, and in 1998 she gave birth to their son. No surprise, Fan's husband was abusive and the two could be heard fighting at all hours of the night. To secure a better life for herself and her son, Fan took a job as a hostess at a nightclub in the red light district. Go to part 2!
This is why I can't do Ring cameras. So this photo was taken at 3 a.m. on a Ring camera just outside of Spokane, Washington on March 17th, 2017. Which, as if that's not scary enough, the same man was seen photographed on 13 other Ring cameras in the area, all at 3 a.m. At first, police believed it was an attack orchestrated by a group of people, but a closer look made them realize it was the same man. One witness claimed she was awoken at 3 a.m. to what sounded like a baby crying, and that's when she got the alert that something was seen on her Ring camera. She also claimed that since this happened, she's felt like someone's been watching her. This man was never found by police, but a user on Reddit based in Chicago recently posted that she also saw something weird on her Ring camera. She said her and her neighbors all got an alert at 3 in the morning that someone wearing a mask was seen.
Welcome to Dre's True Crime Stories. When you leave the house to play basketball or any team sport, does it ever cross your mind that you will spend your last moments alive in the middle of a game? It's likely to happen after an accident or an injury, but dying at a basketball game due to homicide is unheard of. And with that, this is the case of Joshua Kalanday. Trigger warning, viewer discretion is advised. Joshua was a third-year college student from Nueva Ecija in the Philippines. He lived with his family, he was in a relationship at the time of the incident, and he's just like any normal 23-year-old who loved to play mobile games and basketball during his free time. On the evening of May 28, 2022, Joshua was playing a game with his neighbors at a basketball court in Barangay San Francisco in Nueva Ecija. He was standing under the backboard when 3 men approached him. They were 19-year-old Rodney Orgeles, Wally Soriano, and Christopher Kabatbat, both 20 years of age. They were from the same neighborhood and they were not players, they were just bystanders. Joshua did not notice them because he was focused on his game and they were not within his line of sight. So he was just there, playing ball, minding his own business when Rodney just stabbed him from behind in plain sight. It was so fast, no one could even tell what weapon was used. If it was a kitchen knife, a butterfly knife, an ice pick, or something else. Probably a butterfly knife because it wouldn't be so obvious when you carry it around. Anyway, the 3 men quickly fled the scene. I think one of them had a motorcycle, so they were, able to get on the motorcycle pretty quickly and just leave. Joshua was rushed to the hospital for treatment, but he died the next day. There's really no clear motive here, but according to the police, Joshua allegedly made casual eye contact with the guys. It was nothing to him, but the guys did not like it at all, and they made sure that he was aware of their displeasure. The assailants were from the same neighborhood, so witnesses were able to identify them right away. However, they managed to evade arrest and are now fugitives. There's absolutely no good reason for what they did. Like, how do you get so worked up with eye contact? Come on. Anyway, if you have any information that can lead to their arrest, please call or text the number displayed on the screen. You may pause the video to take a screenshot. Let's help the family get the justice they...
Something is going on at the University of Idaho. Okay, so if you haven't heard about this story, police responded to a 911 call of this house where they said there was one person inside who was unconscious. When they get there, there are 4 students inside who were stabbed and deceased, like the entire house was a bloodbath. It was literally pooling out the sides of the foundation. You can look up pictures of this. These are the 4 students who were found in the home, and we think that the stabbings took place sometime between maybe 3 to 4 in the morning on Sunday. We just don't know why. They actually posted this picture sister on Instagram earlier that day. Like, all 4 of them were friends. We even have security footage of them around like 1 a.m., like 2 hours before these stabbings, where they're out getting food, and the cashier said they were fine, like not in distress. 2 of the other roommates who are alive, the ones who called 911, they were in the home at the time of the stabbings and did not call 911 for 8 hours? It's a lot more than.
When 20-year-old Mary Collins disappears, her whole family immediately fears the worst.
Now, Mary had plans to meet up with her former boyfriend and high school friend, Lavi Pham. He's also meeting his new girlfriend, Kelly Lavery. You can see them all pictured in this video that he posted to Facebook. So when Mary goes missing, her family checks her social media. And what they discover is that these two, they've been bullying her online. They've left her cruel messages saying no one likes her and other really mean things. Now, by this point, the police have been notified of her disappearance, but Mia, Mary's grandmother, is convinced that she's still in Levy's apartment. The police actually do a search of his apartment and they find nothing. And so they don't really push forward with the case. So it turns out that this guy, James Solorano, was present at the time of Mary's disappearance, and he boasted to a friend exactly what the trio had done to her. I won't share all of it because it's horrifying, but they stabbed her 133 times. They put a leash around her neck and tortured her. When she eventually passed away, they covered her body in detergent and cinnamon to mask the smell. They then rolled her up in plastic and stuffed her in a mattress. James actually told his friend they were planning to incinerate that mattress as soon as they got the opportunity to do so. Now, that friend was rightfully horrified. He immediately went to the police and told them what happened. They did another search of Levy's apartment, and this time they ripped open the mattress. Just as they were told, there they found the body of 20-year-old Mary Collins. Her family were completely devastated. Now, all 3 were arrested. Their ringleader, Kelly Lavery, took a plea deal and was sentenced to 20 to 30 years in prison. For more 7 Sin crime stories, you can hit that plug.
On October 10th, 2019, Joe Elledge told police that he had gone to sleep with his wife, Meng Shi Ji, on October 8th. He said that when he woke up on October 9th, she was gone.
At the time that Meng Shi Ji disappeared, she was a young married mother. She had a child who was 1 year old.
Meng Shi had moved from China to Columbia, Missouri in 2012 to finish up her undergraduate studies at the University of Missouri. Meng Shi's ritual was a daily phone call that she had with her mother in China. When Meng Shi didn't call her mother on October 9th, 2019, her parents sent a friend to check on her.
I told him everything that happened. I told him that she just hasn't been here.
It wasn't until after that visit that Joe decided to call the police.
I need to file a missing persons report.
Joe told police that the previous day he had woken up and found his wife missing. Then he went on 2 long drives in Meng Shi's car looking for new hiking trails.
There's just this big area that's all green on the Google Maps. And so I wanted to go and see if there were walking paths back there.
Naturally, that raised eyebrows. Detectives searched through Joe's apartment, and on a hunch, police took in a pair of Joe's muddy boots as evidence.
Just in case down the road they might be relevant.
Something was amiss, yes, and they sensed it, and they took them.
Despite Meng Shi's whereabouts still being unknown, District Attorney Dan Knight took a chance and filed first-degree murder charges against Joe Elledge. A year later, a hiker making his way through a wooded area stumbled upon a purse that lay in the dirt.
He had this walking stick, and he kind of flipped that purse around just a little bit. He noticed that there were these shoes, and then he saw something that looked like was maybe a skull. And in fact, it was a skull, Meng Shi's skull.
She had finally been found.
That's right. That's right. It was a miracle.
Dan Knight was building evidence against Joe Elledge and noticed that his cell phone records put him near Meng Shi's burial site the day he reported her missing.
What were the weather conditions like that day?
Unfortunately for Joe, but fortunately for justice, it was raining.
Dan remembered those muddy boots found at Joe's apartment, and that hunch investigators had about them was about to pay off.
So we've got 12 different types of vegetation in these boots.
Joe's boots were sent out for analysis at a lab at the Missouri Botanical Garden, where juniper tree needles were carefully removed from the soles for DNA testing.
They wanted to see if there was some way that we could match the vegetation in the boots to the site where a woman's remains were found. These are 2 samples that were collected from the left boot right here. Once we knew that we could get usable DNA out of the forensic samples that we took from the boots, then we needed to match them to the trees at the site.
Missouri Botanical Garden assistant scientist Alex Lignan was tasked with collecting sample needles from the juniper trees surrounding Meng Shi's gravesite.
Plants have DNA, just like people.
Absolutely, yeah. Every living organism on the planet has DNA.
Back at the lab, the needles were compared to the needles found on Joe's boots.
These 2 lines here are the genotype of one of the samples from the boot. And this one is from the tree that is overhanging the gravesite. And as you can see, the lines match up.
And that moment for you when you realized you had a match?
Yeah, it was really exciting. We got him. He was there.
No doubt he was there.
No doubt in my mind, he was there.
Scientifically confirmed.
Yes.
Just like a fingerprint, just like DNA, blood DNA that is presented in trial, this is just as reliable.
Exactly the same technology even.
So what you're telling me is these trees that are all around us here played a role in solving a murder?
Absolutely.